friend. It is Courtney, and you are here on the Forbidden Knowledge Network watching Cosmically Connected with me, your psychic medium, Cortney Kane Sides. Guys, thank you for being here yet again, another Wednesday together. And I'm so excited to chat. I say so excited. I'm happy to go over this topic with you guys. It's something that we're going to talk about stagnant. Feeling stagnant, not just in our spiritual life, but with maybe even everything in your in certain areas of your life right now. You may be feeling stagnant in your relationship, or even just your own personal growth, and even the energy of procrastination. Any of you guys have that little bug? Occasionally I'm going to put my hand up and then actually put that down, because we're not going to claim that, right? Guys, thank you. Tonight we are going to go into all of those different things that kind of keep us stuck, and also some things that might help us pick up our energy and move through those different moments when we feel that way. But first, guys, again, I'm so happy you're here. This podcast, we're hitting, I think we're close to 3 years, which is so incredible. I love coming on here and being with you guys every Wednesday here on this amazing network. There's been so much growth on this Forbidden Knowledge channel. I mean, every day, those subscribers keep going up. So if you're new here, do me a favor, hit subscribe and hit like to this channel, and even leave a comment, right? I see all of you guys doing that here. Another really cool thing was, even last week, I see comments about my hair. This was literally drying it. It's not always this poofy, but today it was just poofy, and I was busy working, so there was no time to mess with it. So thank you for that. Guys, let's call on the guides and angels. Every time, usually when we're together, we do that. It just kind of helps ground us. Let's take a good deep breath in. Big exhale out. All right, so guides and angels on our right, guides and angels on our left, guides and angels in front, and guides and angels in back, to balance and harmonize our session, leaving us in the light and allowing nothing but the highest, truest, and the best to manifest upon us now. Many of you have already heard there's an amazing award show coming up, the Conscious Awards. It is the second annual over in Miami. We're going to be there, myself, my family, and of course the Forbidden Knowledge family, and all of the other hosts that you see on this channel, Billy, Elizabeth. We're also going to have a really cool workshop. So if you're going to be in the area, or you've got some time off, that's the time to take, guys. It's like August 5th. It's the first weekend in August. So many cool things, so many great people. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to connect to so many like-minded people. So join me there with the rest of the Forbidden Knowledge gang, and also amazing spiritual thought leaders from around the planet. So make sure you pick that day out of your vacation days. Take it. Don't feel bad about it, because you're only going to benefit. It's going to be an investment into you. Look at all these comments, guys. Before we get started, one more thing I wanted to chat about was your commitment to the podcast, not just mine, but Roderick's, Elizabeth's. Nikki's got a new show, which is so cool. And of course, Billy's. But to see you guys, seeing your handles every week is so much fun. And seeing the cross communication from different shows. I was on Roderick's show last week, and it was so fun to see so many of you who watch mine every week. We're together, and to see so many of you also over there supporting Roderick, my friend, my buddy, your friend, your buddy. It is so cool. So again, come meet us in Miami so that we can actually meet in person. That would be so amazing. So guys, I want to see your emojis. I see lots of people saying not claiming it. Let's see. Don't cheat yourself, treat yourself, says stagnant at work, need to grow. So how many of you have been feeling this low level? I don't even want to call it a depression, but this low level, even a stillness, maybe not like a grounded, happy stillness, but this non-moving energy. How many of you have been noticing that in your life right now? I've noticed it in certain ways. And so it's something where, if we're good at this, being in this meat suit, I think, somebody says like numbness. Yeah, it's interesting. Ivana says, I am, says a little. Astro Anthony says, I feel it. So I'm going to say I have also tuned into it a bit. I think that if we're real honest with ourselves and we just kind of witness that in our energy, by the way, with no judgment. So sometimes when we're moving through this kind of energy, it's here to show us something, even if it is showing us that it's okay to just be in it, witness it, and try to find out more about it. Steve says, I took it as a sign to work a little harder. I like that. I think that, sometimes this stagnant energy, um, sometimes, and we're going to go through all those comments, are coming in hot. I love it, guys. Thank you for being here so much. But I think that sometimes, we can take the woo woo approach, we can take the analytical approach, we can take the emotional approach. And for me, I like to look at all of those different avenues as a way of saying, is there something am I ignoring? Is there something that I'm not necessarily taking care of, or something that I'm maybe even blind to? So, do you have some emotional baggage? Is there something? As I say it, I can't even fix my face as I'm talking about it. It's a real thing. So again, I've been kind of doing this myself, doing a little bit of self dissecting, emotionally, spiritually. Is there something, a project that I'm sitting on, that I'm waiting on because maybe I'm feeling, maybe there's a little hesitancy to put something out there, or is there hesitancy on getting started on the project? Ask yourself like these different questions. The 40-year-old dork says, I feel it, that it's really strange and they're feeling it. Nick says, how would we figure out what kind of baggage that is, right? So typically, if we've got emotional baggage, we've got something that keeps being either triggered, or we're having something that keeps rising up from the past, right? Um, my word for the year, I'm going to use myself as an example. My word for the year was power. I'm in this very nurturing career, nurturing work, where I'm giving to other people, of course, making sure those boundaries are beautiful and clear, making sure I'm filling me up first. But I just got chills on my legs as I said it. But what I've been noticing is that power that I've been stepping into has also caused the sternness, maybe even in my energy, right? So, are you learning? You might be going through this stagnant period, or this moment of awareness that there's something to be observed if we're in it, my friends, right? So I've been really, really aware and watching this. Now, that watching energy within you is so valuable. So making sure that you are taking the time to really sit with yourself. And of course, if you've watched this podcast, I'm going to tell you to grab that notebook, your I'm Not Crazy book. You date it, you start to process just where your mind is, also without having to have all the answers. Okay. So you just kind of unleashing your energy, your thoughts, your emotions into this daily journal, this page, or a weekly page, a weekly journal of where your mind has been. What is it that you've been observing? And so you will start to discover that if it is some sort of an emotional baggage, first of all, what are you seeing that are triggers, right? Is there something that you even see on social media and it's starting for you to regress or to hide? I mean, that's a very, very common thing with people. How many of you see everybody showing up in their bright ways on social media? And sometimes you let that almost make you more quiet. How many of you are like that? How many of you are having projects on your mind and you're wanting to move forward with them, but because you're looking at everybody else's Instagram page or seeing what everybody else is creating, and you're somehow thinking that yours isn't good enough, or that maybe next week will be the time that you step in, or even next year when you feel more fit, that might be the time to step in front of the camera. I'm seeing so many people having these amazing projects and wanting to put these their heart-centered endeavors out into the world, yet they're sitting on the project because of one little tiny thing. And it's typically, I find that it's because of fear. Thank you, Mr. X. I appreciate you so much. You know, all of us here at the Forbidden Knowledge Network, we show up every week, and we do this because we find such heart and connectiveness and value in this, not just for you guys, but also for us. We love to share knowledge, teach, and also learn ourselves. And so, my friend, thank you for paying it forward. We so appreciate that. Thank you so much. So I want you to think about that. So is there unresolved unresolved a relationship that's holding you back, that you're maybe again even feeling depressed about? You're not wanting to put this next thing out there, right? Because you're nervous about what will they think. How many of you are from small towns? Give me an emoji, any type of emoji right now. How many of you are from small towns, or you're friends with that high school group where you know that they're still checking out everybody's pages? Lucky Robot says analysis paralysis, my friend. Let's take a breath in. Exhale the energy out, right? Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want the analysis paralysis, but I have it too. Sometimes we all do. So anyway, so make sure that you're seeing if there's a past experience that's popping up for you. And also the mindset, this is something that I find stops people in their track, is they have the understanding that nothing's ever going to change. I say that, let's take a breath in, big exhale out. Yeah, you're right. It won't change unless you put some action into it. Elliot says, I mean, I do spy on people, right? Yeah, Bobby says, hi, Bobby, my dear. Bobby is one of my VIP Inner Circle members. I love you, Bobby, and a friend. Love her client too. But yeah, it's interesting. So I find that many who grow up in a small town or in the arena where they have lots of, old friends, that they're so afraid to evolve. Is that you? Are you afraid? Are you nervous because there's been an evolution inside of you for the last decade, for the last 2 years, for the last year, maybe for the last 6 months? And you're wanting to put something out there in a way that might, be a little nerve wracking. What is that, right? So watching and asking yourself, where is this stagnant energy coming from? Just acknowledging it and understanding that it's there, I believe, is the key. We can't kind of fix something that we're not willing to look at or to see. I will tell you that something that helps me is having a witness. Now, I have an assistant in my business. I have an in-person assistant who's been with me for close to 5 years, if not right over 5 years, and a virtual somebody. And so those people, sometimes when I'm in my creative mind and I'm, would rather not, sometimes having those that are relying on me too also helps me continue to keep showing up. Any of you, does any of that help you? Are you that way? Let me see it down here. Yeah. I love it. Stephanie says, how? So heal inner child trauma that keeps you from spiritually growing. Yeah. So I'm a huge believer, guys, and that's a good question. I think I'm reading it correctly. I'm a huge believer in, if we ignore the hurts and pains, it doesn't mean we sit and wallow in them, by the way. And we've all been through things. We could all make a long list here tonight about everything we've been through, right? But when we are brave enough to look at those things, find more clarity about them with our more healed eyes or our adult eyes, and we work through that, I do feel as though it helps us also spiritually evolve as well. So we're emotionally evolving, we're healing, and again, emotionally evolving, and also in that spiritual way as well. That when we do that, it does help us in a way that will help allow that pain to be removed from our energy so that we can open up more so to the light that we came to this earth with. David says, yeah, you're right, but check out Terrence Howard. We're all evolving with source. No matter what you would call good or bad, check it out. It's all good. We're all babes growing. It's so true. I watched that podcast and on Joe Rogan. And so I agree. I thought it was a really great one. There's lots of different opinions about that now, but I want you to watch it and think about what feels like truth to you. For me, it sounded like he was voicing a lot of important stuff. The 40-year-old dork says, do shadow work. Absolutely. So many of us, I don't care how long we've been growing. I don't care if we're the healers and the teachers out there. You know, I've been doing my own my work, and I am a psychic medium and spiritual advisor. I've got clients all over the world, but that doesn't mean that our own healing ever stops. How many of you are in this spiritual work that you see clients or you're helping other people? You know, we also can't allow ourselves to stop in that growth. And so making sure that we're willing to acknowledge that we're really not quite ever done, right? And we do have direct access to source, like our friend earlier was saying. It's so true. But we're also here having this human experience, trying to remember to keep coming back to that. Cosmetology or cosmostrology says me in the thick of it. Yes, I understand that. How many of you feel as though you were definitely in the thick of it? So again, I started this out saying I have felt a little bit of that I want to say going slower energy. So if you follow me on Instagram, I've been real quiet for about a week and a half, 2 weeks almost on Instagram. Normally I'm sharing the paintings that I'm doing every day with clients and the family things and all of it. But I've needed a little bit more time for me. And I want you all to be really good to yourself during these times and understand that you don't have to run to the rat race of everybody else's rhythm. Okay? We sometimes have to make sure that we're the priority and that you're taking care of you. There was a TikTok that I shared on my TikTok. I reposted it or duetted it or whatever it's called. And it was referencing, just 15, 20 years ago, however many years ago it was, that, many of us grew up without these devices in our hands, that we could get up. Oh my gosh, we could get up and leave our house and not have anybody be able to contact us. Not that we were fleeing, not that we were running, but sometimes just knowing that we were in our own space and in our own space only. And now we've got, text messages and emails and multiple telephone, things and DMs on Instagram and Facebook and a private Facebook and a business Facebook and all the things. How many of you were feeling, take a breath in, big exhale out, the pressure of having to answer to the electronic devices? Sometimes us feeling, that stagnant energy might be because it's time to put these things down, which I love. I mean, it's usually pretty close to me at all times. But sometimes we have to put that down so that we can care for ourselves. And so I'm seeing that sometimes that procrastination on the things that really matter, the things that have your heart, the reason you really want to be writing or painting or showing up for the world around you. Sometimes the nonsense things are taking too much of our energy. So I want you to kind of be aware and think about that, right? Think about it. Lucky Robot says, I'm an empath anyway, so have to go quiet every now and then. Yeah, I do too. I cannot tell you how much I've enjoyed, it getting warmer. I'm in Oklahoma and taking my shoes off and watering the flowers or doing any of that. You guys making sure you're just going slow and taking care of you right now is really important. And so Carmela says, bring back the landlines. I'm with you, my friend. Absolutely with you. And so, anyway, so watching that. And so, also in terms of negative influences, too, think about that. So, is that electronic device having a negative influence on you or your energy? These are very important questions. If you are feeling stagnant, if you're giving lots of energy again to the things that really aren't um, the priority for you, and maybe you don't even know what that priority is, right? If you don't, make sure to take the time to sit with yourself. And for today, what are my priorities today? And if it feels too overwhelming to set the stage to make that list for what your priorities are for the next week or the next 6 months or the next year, maybe focus on what are my priorities today. So something for me that helps me get into or get out of that stagnant energy is it's to act. It's taking action. And sometimes, if those things that we really need to take action on, again, feel too overwhelming, getting up and taking care of some of those small things that you can mark off your list so you can start to kind of put your shoulders back. You know, Miller Time says momentum, yes, so that you can see that maybe you're going to start building a little bit of momentum, but also making sure that that comes after you've allowed yourself to rest, after you've allowed yourself to take space and time for you. Yeah, Miller Time says just take the first step. So true. Um, mm, yeah, interesting. Yeah, Karen says yes. I've been feeling like that a lot the last few weeks. Yes, and so another thing that's really interesting is are to also be aware of any imbalanced relationships. Are the exchanges balanced? And if they're not, it doesn't mean that you have to fix them immediately or even make swift changes, but even just being aware, speaking up when you feel as though you need to, and having that beautiful clarity with those that you love or those people around you. I understand that some relationships don't allow that back and forth, but really starting to watch that, that's something that could possibly help you get out of that stagnant, frozen energy. Another thing, too, is sometimes there are people that can be very stagnant and they're still procrastinating while running around like crazy, right? They look really busy, but they're busy doing nothing, right? How many of you can tend to do that occasionally? I know when I'm real out of balance, I can run around doing everything halfway. How many of you are like that? I don't want to raise my hand. I'm not going to claim it. But how many of you can run around real busy uh, and handle lots of different things, but not till the final step, not to Z, right? Yep, Joe Jones says, that's me. That can be me occasionally. I don't want to say it, but it's the truth. So watch that. And again, what do we do? I have a dear friend that says this. She says, uh, don't put it down, put it up. And I don't even think about that in terms of just me putting things all over, which I could, I can definitely be like that too. But I have to kind of think of that in terms of my own things that I need to accomplish, whether that be an email or business opportunity. Don't put it down, put it up. Don't let it just be right here, but maybe finish it till the end. Because often, if we're not looking out for us, we're all adults here, friends. We don't have a mom or a dad necessarily looking after us, seeing that, are you getting that done? Are you getting that done? And so, us making sure that we're taking care of those certain responsibilities, it's just extremely important, especially if we're going to feel good about ourselves, right? Think about it. Many of you who are parents or grandparents, when you give a little one a job and they see it through till the end, and you see that pride that comes upon them, and you see them hold their shoulders back, and they're loving that exchange of positivity, and they're feeling really excited, right? um, how are you giving that to you? I find that when we're feeling stagnant or we're feeling we're procrastinating, it's typically because there's some sort of fear wrapped around it. I want to ask you this question. Are you letting fear stop you? If you are, put it in the comments. And if yes, say yes, and then put the thing. What is that thing? Let's send energy to our friends here in the comments. What is that thing that you're really needing to accomplish, or you're dreaming of accomplishing, you're hoping to accomplish, you're wanting to take the first step out? What is it? I think that that support, knowing that we're not in it alone, can be really, really important and really help us. Um, and help us find a little bit of excitement, especially when we're doing this alone or entrepreneurs, right? Mm. Miller Time says, I think it's usually caused by childhood trauma or limiting beliefs. I think very often it is. It's true. Shaw J said, starting a self love / healing space. I love it. Wayne says, starting a business. Mm. Tony Moe right there says that it's slowing down, but not stopping me. I love that. Guys, allowing ourselves to rest. It is really important. I know I require it, but understanding that rest can be kind of that mode before we jump and go to that next stage, right? Yeah, look at how many people want to be starting the business. Thank you, Dr. Strange. I appreciate it. It's interesting. And so, also, acknowledging that fear. Many of us don't want to call it that. Many of us are very prideful, right? So, fear of the change or even the unknown, like what's on the opposite side of this energy. Take a breath in with me. Big exhale out, allowing that to move through you and not closing off into that void of energy. It's not going to give you anything, right? That stagnant energy is not going to necessarily help you, but allowing yourself to sit in it for a moment, right? Mm. So, very often we can also be afraid of the failure, right? Or afraid of the success of, and even being judged by others again, even misunderstood. How many of you listen, you're here on this podcast, so I know many of you think outside the box, right? We're all spiritually connected. You think in ways that sometimes society is not ready for, right? But very, very often, I'm telling you that many of us, I know you're one of them, you're here, we're thinking so far ahead of the now, and we're wanting to hurry to get to that next space. But part of the importance of having that vision is also to allow yourself to be here in the now, right? Understanding and almost allowing our own energy to bring what is coming almost into our energy today. And sometimes, again, guys, that's slowing down and just taking care of you. So very often I find that what I see, and even Roderick last week, I was on his podcast on Wednesday and then again on Friday with him. And what he was referencing, he brought it up and he said, Cortney, I see people all the time. They're saying, man, I want to show like yours. Man, I want to be doing this. I feel like I want to help people. I feel like I want to, share my insight, but I'm not sure exactly what that is yet. But they just want to talk about it. They want to talk about the energy. And he said, what I keep telling them is, man, if I can do it, you can do it. We're all a little nervous. I know we were when we started. And so Roderick, when he said that, I started kind of laughing because I actually get the same thing all the time. And I too say to them, man, if I can do it, you can do it, anybody can do it. It's not always comfortable to do that thing that feels scary or to put yourself out there in a way that can absolutely 100% be criticized, get different opinions. The 40-year-old dork says, I think outside of the box so much it freaks me out. I understand, my friend. I get it. I believe we have to do, you don't have to believe it, but what I believe we have to do is we have to get to a space to know ourselves so fully that we're just brave enough to be us. That's it. When you hear me talk or speak or in sessions or when I'm speaking to large groups of people, I always say this is how it feels to me because I value everybody else's truth as well. So we're meant to hear the truth from every soul that's here on earth, by the way. So when you feel called to lead or you feel called to learn something that you're really wanting to put out into the universe in only the way that you can, maybe follow it. Maybe fall in love with you doing that so much that you have no choice but to get it started. I know that it can be very scary. What I can tell you that helps me when I get into these stagnant energies or in that state of procrastination, the procrastination typically comes, friends, about from the fear of what's on the other side. Are you writing the book? Well, what are you afraid of once you've written the book? Is it that success maybe that the family's never had? Is it that, oh my gosh, I've written that now, yet I'm going to have to write another thing because you feel called to channel something in a new way? Maybe. But it's almost more scary to not follow our heart, is it not? Right? Victoria's Spirit says authenticity is the best way towards healing. I agree. Mm, hmm. And Brian says, just be yourself and let it happen naturally, not open, but not closed, fearlessly cautious. I love it. And so I think that something that has helped me, and I've said this often here on the podcast, is, just showing up in every moment that there's a choice, every moment in the now, just always trying to make the better choice. That's what I do. I can tell you how something might feel to me, right? I can tell you how, this is the energy of this thing. But letting go of all of that expectation or the want for the future or whatever, and just showing up today. And I'm telling you, when we do that, we very often surprise ourselves, and you might find yourself doing something completely different than you might have ever believed that you would be doing it. But again, allowing yourself the space and time for you to be right where you are and not judge or condemn it. So again, if you're having that stagnant energy, again, all the marketing, Instagram, business people would be looking at, Cortney, you haven't posted, you haven't done this in a week and a half, 2 weeks. Oh, you're building, and then you leave it there. Well, yeah, but that's authentic, right? So you doing it the way you need to do it, not the way that everybody else is expecting you to do it. I think it's really important for you, again, to find your rhythm. So not looking at what people are telling you, if you're a business person, if you're building a brand, whatever, stop thinking of algorithms and think of you, what it is you need. And when you speak or you lead or you're starting to dive into you from that heart-centered space, you're gonna be led to the next moment that you're supposed to be in. By the way, also with the people that are going to help get you there. I know many of you guys feel like you're alone in it, right? Many people, many people become stagnant and also procrastinate because they also want a community or a team behind them, right? And very often when we're doing this, we're putting ourselves out on a ledge that we feel very alone for a while until our people or our tribe or our friends find us. I can remember thinking for so long, being very lonely, building, anything can be very lonely sometimes, right? And I remember feeling that in my business. I remember feeling like lots of people didn't really understand because, it doesn't always feel like you've got a lot of downtime, right? When you're building a project, you're writing a book, you're self-employed, whatever that is. And wanting to have a community around us can be such an important thing to help us keep from going dormant, from helping us freezing, and making sure again that we're taking care of ourselves. Also, something that I find that helps me though, um, is making sure that I am infusing my energy with things that bring me more energy. So whether that is other podcasts like this one or any of the others on the Forbidden Knowledge Network, that's going to bring more goodness into my life, more information that I feel seen and heard from, that's going to bring me more value. Okay, so I do say that quite often is really think about where you're putting your time and your energy. Is it giving back to you or is it depleting you? And so especially right now, if you are feeling that quiet stagnation, maybe it's time for you to just sit with it and figure out what's coming up for you. Now, the way that we can find out what that is if you're somebody who has no idea why. If you don't understand where that comes from, by the way, I think it comes in waves occasionally. You might go real hard, do really amazing things for a while, and you might get right back into that mode where you kind of go into a hermit mode a bit. Yeah. Sean says, I'm actually stuck right now starting my business. Listen, my friend, I understand. What I believe that we can do is find those that can help see our energy. So in my private sessions, um, Roderick had his first session with me last Wednesday. And what he said, I love it. I'm going to use it now. He said, oh my gosh, Cortney, what that session did was it was a portal to my highest like life. It was a portal to my fullest life, is what he said. So in a session with myself, I know what that energy does is it helps you see the mirror of you. So it just gives you some insight. You know how say we've got smudge, like our lipstick's messed up, or we've got food on our face and we look in the mirror. You know, if how do we know if anything's messed up unless we go look in the mirror? Well, energetically, I see it kind of that same way. So how energetically, unless we're able to look at our energy within a mirror or from somebody else that can help us do that, how can we see the next step that could fully help us move to the next course in life? And so, very often, I see clients who are starting businesses or who have mega businesses that need insight today about their next steps forward. But it's all about, yes, the energy. And again, one of my favorite terms, one of my favorite quotes, you guys have heard me use it often, is what is observed is changed. So when we see that our energy is out of sorts or out of whack, having somebody like myself, somebody you trust, to be able to connect with you in that way, see your energy, connect to your highest form, your guides and your angels, and say, this is how it all feels. And this is what it looks like. When we see the energy fully, what do we have? We have the ability then to have ample choice. And so when we're in this stagnant procrastination, it's typically because we don't see what that next step is in front of us. Or sometimes we're just needing and wanting a guided and guiding hand. How many of you are in that? And very often as adults, we feel like it maybe is weak to go to a teacher or a mentor. And so I really advise you to, of course, you can always, have sessions with me, join my VIP inner circle, or any other leader that you really truly connect with that can help you take your energy from here to there, right? In business, in relationship, in your every darn area of your life. Because I'm telling you, my friends, if we're feeling stagnant in one area, it's typically stagnant in all areas, whether we can see it or not. It doesn't mean that it's alarming, right? But it's there. It's just this other area is a little bit loud, more loud, right? And by the way, we all are in that. So we all have different moments of life where it starts to creep up for us. And it's time to sit back and view. It's time to watch. It's kind of time to dissect our energy. So if you're feeling that way, I hope that you know that you're not alone. and that there are different ways, of course, to kind of, again, move through it. So, again, podcast, going to an energetic healer, a spiritual advisor, or sitting with yourself and doing the work. Okay. Somebody earlier said the shadow work. I believe shadow work is so key and important, as long as you're also doing that high work, that work beyond as well, to take you out of that lower grade energy for sure. Somebody earlier says, change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. So, do you expect miracles, right? Do you expect for it always to be difficult? I hope not. I hope you expect for things to always go your way. Something that I have noticed, hi, April, I see you there, my friend. Something that I have noticed, and it's through just life experience, by the way. I know many of you are going to feel the same way, is that when I see a moment or a hard thing coming up, I typically know it's coming up because I'm going to be a bigger, you know what, on the other end of it. I'm going to say, you can bleep me if you want, cover your ears. I'm going to say it, a bigger badass on the other end of it, right? Yeah. And so I know that if something is coming up for me emotionally, going through a challenge, I dig in deep and I know that I can conquer anything thrown my way because I am connected to source, light, and universal law. Hello. We've got everything within us to connect to that highest form of energy. I do, though, think that is also okay, though, to allow yourself to sit and be where you are, still understanding. Again, you're in this human experience, having that moment, but understanding that you can connect back to source. It's when we forget that we can connect to source that it takes us to a place of depression and distance from the world around us. Mm. Dr. Strange says, I plan to join your group one day. Thank you, Dr. Strange. I do. I have an amazing VIP inner circle. Many of you are on that. I can see some of you on here live. It's almost 3 years old. So there's 3 years of archived teachings, videos, teachers. Elizabeth Hoekstra has taught in that. Dr. Rose Moten has been in that group many times. And of course, we're teaching, leading. I was just doing sessions last week in that group. But it's $11.11 a month. It's less than a coffee, for goodness sakes. And we meet for an hour and a half. And I get to see you guys. You get to see me, and we're connecting. It's a shared experience. And so everybody else is on camera with each other. And what's really cool is we have our first in-person event coming up here in Oklahoma in September. It's not been released yet. So I'm telling you, those of you who are in the inner circle, you just got a little bit of information. Nobody else knows yet. It's going to be released this week. And so if you come join us, and get into that membership before that happens, you're going to be able to have an opportunity to come out to Oklahoma and have a full weekend with me and the group. It's going to be amazing. So come do that. So another thing, by the way, that helps us get out of that stagnant energy and the procrastination is a team. It's a team. It's having people around you that are like-minded, that actually know where you're headed, that know what it is you want. So they understand that when you're having a hard day or a bad day, because we're all human, but they don't punish you for being human, right? They allow you to be in that moment of space and to choose to come out of that. Let it be a day or 2 days. If it's longer than a few days, maybe it's time to call on some people that are going to give you some tough love, and maybe ask for some people that will help you take action if you can't quite get it into gear. You understand? Brian Chambers said, what did you think about Terrence Howard? I loved it. I thought he was spot on. I listened to it last week or the week before and thought it was wonderful. You know, everybody, Terrence actually mentioned our buddy Billy, by the way. So in that podcast, if you haven't listened to it, go check it out. It was really, I thought it was an amazing podcast, again, on the Forbidden, or on Joe Rogan, by the way. And so, yeah, Happy Time says, absolutely. It's not easy to find like-minded people near me. Well, come join my inner circle and you'll get to meet everybody there. Again, what's so cool is in that community, in that group, they all know each other. And it's because it's not just me gabbing, right? It's us sharing experiences, and we all share our stories, and there's true friendship and connection there. Some of those members have been there from the beginning, and so they've known each other virtually for 3 years. And so I know that so many important people for me, by the way, guys, many people are so upset because they don't have a community in their physical space around them that matches their energy. Let me tell you this, that it's been very rare that I have found people in my close vicinity that really get me, or that I really truly connect with. And so what I have found is most of my true core people I've met virtually. And that includes Elizabeth and Billy, who are now dear friends. We've met many, many times in person now, of course. All of the Forbidden Knowledge team, everybody was virtual first, right? And so we are absolutely a family now. But that goes to so many other dear friends of mine and leaders and teachers from around the world that are, again, close friends of mine that I met virtually. So just because they are not living next door to you does not give you the excuse that you don't have a community, my friend. There are many out there. You've got to join one, show up authentically, and let's be vulnerable. We all, and if we want beautiful energy coming our way, we've got to be brave enough to show up and be vulnerable and honest so that we can also evolve in the way for our truest form, right? Prince of Persia says all the best people are online. Of course. I love it. Mm. Yeah, so cool. Let's see. I have connected with Roderick. How do we connect with you? Join me. I'll put it in here on, let's see. This podcast here on the Forbidden Knowledge Network is called Cosmically Connected. Connect with Cortney Kane Sides. I'm just going to put it there. And that is my name here on YouTube. And so it's going to be under Billy Carson Forbidden Knowledge. Oh, you see it there. So see that, Cosmically Connected with Cortney Kane Sides. Go to that channel and hit subscribe there too. So you'll find more live videos there. And also you can reach out also to my website, which is here in the description below, but CourtneyKaneSides.com. And there you'll find that VIP Inner Circle, which is a beautiful, beautiful network. Also, guys, get your tickets for Miami. We're all going to be there. It's going to be amazing. And so how do we get unstuck? We get honest. We get honest, Sophie. So to get unstuck, something that can help shift you energetically is sometimes even doing a session. I'm not saying you have to do that, but something I have clients from around the world, and once again, you see your energy outside of yourself. It can help you understand where your energy needs to shift. And very often, through that energetic work, it does help you to elevate your energy in a way that's going to help propel you towards the direction that you're wanting to go. It's going to help you see it, feel it, understand it in that moment so you can attune to it. You understand? And so you can do that. You can start to move your body, guys, especially when we're feeling stagnant very often. Another thing that I find that I like to do is to get moving. So if you're finding that you're emotionally stagnant, maybe getting up and doing some sort of physical movement is a really great thing to help you shift the energy within you. Another thing too is, yeah, Steve says you got to do the work. It's true. That's right. That's true. Something that helps me is to declutter. How many of you are feeling that stagnant energy, but when you also start to look around your house, you have a lot of things that need to either be gone through, you have a lot of things that you've got to let go of, you have a lot of maybe even piles around. Now, I can be a pile maker. How many of you guys can be a pile maker? If I am rushing to the beat of everybody's rhythm and I'm busy, 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 you can see me when I'm not taking care of myself and letting myself have downtime. You will start to see in the physical that start to line up. And so when that happens, it's because Courtney on the inside too is letting everything kind of build up. So I ask you to start looking around at your surroundings. Are you happy about the physicality of your home? Are you happy about any of that? And if not, what can you do to change just a little something today that might bring you a little bit of peace and happiness, right? How many of you also are struggling with like hesitancy in making really, really important decisions? John says, I'm a pile maker. Oh, we don't want to claim it. I know, friend. I know, right? And so I think that when we're starting to become hesitant in making decisions, sometimes it can be a loss, right? It can be a loss, and very, very honest life situations can throw us in these moments where we're overwhelmed. How many of you become stagnant and procrastinate when you're overwhelmed, right? I've been there, and I still watch that when I'm overwhelmed. I go within and want to freeze a little. How many of you are like that? Those things that I do is making sure I'm taking really good self-care energy work. I've got a dear friend and energy worker that I see here in Oklahoma. If anybody of you are local, I will share her information. Just DM me on Instagram and I'll send it to you. But she does a raindrop therapy with tuning forks, and she does Reiki. And I love her. I do not recommend a lot of people. I'm very particular about those because, I want a grounded, balanced energy. And that for me is something that I do. Something also that can help me for me, guys, but for you too, is massages. Taking really good care of yourself. Therapy, guys, therapy is an amazing thing. A session with a spiritual advisor like myself, a psychic medium that can help you again see your energy clearly. I'm going to have Roderick on and have him come on. Let's have a conversation so he can tell you exactly how that session went. It was very, very cool. It was very interesting. It is not at all what I think he thought it was going to be, which was so much fun. I think it was so much more than he expected. John says he gets overwhelmed often. Yeah. Yes. And so when we get overwhelmed, giving you a moment to sit in that space and getting up and taking a small moment of action. Small moment of action in your home. Let me tell you, if you're feeling that way and you're feeling that way at work, I don't care if we're talking about doing something in your house. Do something in your house. Watch how it shifts the energy when you get to work. Clean out a drawer. Watch how it shifts the energy in your relationship. I'm not kidding, my friend. When we're talking about one area, it's not ever just one area. It is in all areas. All areas. So if you're procrastinating in this one area, how do you think that that's affecting in all of it? I don't say that to you to develop fear. I say that to you for us to have a conversation about truth. Vulnerable or vulnerability. Let's get vulnerable with each other, have those hard conversations. Many of us, or many, especially in relationships, we don't want to share those things when we're overwhelmed, right? We don't want our partners to know sometimes. And so I know that in my past relationships, I would have run like crazy trying to make everything perfect and almost say, look over here so you're not seeing what I'm freaking out about, right? What I do today is make sure I don't run to the beat of anybody else's stuff but my own. Take a breath. I acknowledge when I see that I want to do those old patterns that aren't serving us, my friends. But what I do is make sure I'm always voicing with authenticity, vulnerability, and heart my truth. And so that can feel very scary, my friends. But when we show up in that way, and we're showing up in every moment, just trying to make the better choice, I'm telling you, you're going to start to see your life shift and change. I love that. Everybody's agreeing. I appreciate that, my friend. So, intuitive healing sessions, that helps. Spiritual workshops, retreats, guys. I'm telling you, those retreats, I've taught at a few this last year. Um, last year, one already this year. We've got the VIP inner circle retreat coming up. You guys, there's still time to be a member. You've got to be a member to be able to be there. So it's not expensive. It's going to be so great. This is going to be the first year. I can't wait to do it. So if you want to do something like that, this is the time to join that VIP inner circle. Again, you have to be a member to be able to do it, but it's going to be in September. If you're looking for community in a space to connect to like-minded individuals, those are the things to do, whether that again be mine or somebody else that you really value their information, right? They're going to help you stay so connected and take that next step forward. It's a process, my friend. So those spiritual workshops, whether again in person, online, virtually, whatever, mindfulness practices, your meditation, that community engagement. If you're finding also that, we all go through these moments, especially when the world looks to be in such a hard place, and it's hard to find you're happy, right? Let's take a breath in, connect to that source and that light. If you're struggling to find that, go put some time into volunteering, whether that be animals or with children or a cause that is really, really close to your heart. Go volunteer your time. You'll watch by being of service how quickly you become full. I'm telling you. It might help you feel some sort of action in your everyday life, right? Sometimes it puts things into perspective for us. And we all at certain moments might need that, right? And so I said this earlier, but self-reflection, engagement, self-reflection and engagement with yourself, that journaling, writing those things down for you so that you can kind of witness and also those other spiritual practices. So whether that is clearing your energy, if you know how to protect your own energy, doing those cord cutting moments or the bubble of protection, all of those things, by the way, only if you believe that they work, do they work. So if that's something that you connect with, pull those things into your experience and your life and you do them, right? Yes. And that personal development. Again, something that helps me, I said it earlier, nature and quiet time. That's solitude. So solitude is different. Solitude can fuel us, my friends. Now, stagnant energy can sometimes make us want to be like go within and maybe become a hermit, right? Now, if it feels like it's going towards like, what is this? What am I watching, right? How am I feeling? Do I feel happy about this? Do I feel uncomfortable? Is this feeding or fueling my heart and my soul? Be aware and ask yourself. You might be just supposed to be witnessing it so you can understand that something needs to change. And you're the only one that can change it. So reaching out for those that you find fuel you. I want you to take that step today. So find that organization, find that, again, that podcast. I'm so happy you guys are here tonight. Do me a favor and share this. If you have a friend even that's coming to mind as we've been talking tonight, that pops in and you're like, man, this is helping me, but I also know that so-and-so would do really well with this information. Maybe share this with them and say, hey, I've got this. There's this group. Let's do it together, right? Whether that be mine, Billy's, somebody else's. I think you showing up for you is the answer. And you don't have to know what it looks like in 3 months, 6 months, a year. You can just be setting the intention that you want to start writing that book that's been on your heart. You want to start falling in love with you in a way like never before, right? So important. I love it. There's another Courtney here. What's crazy is you are the first person I've ever heard spell their name just like me. Mine, Courtney. Correct, right, my friend? I love it. Steve says Doc B is a wealth of knowledge as well. Yes, love Doc B, my buddy. I can't wait to see him in July. We'll see him late July, early August for the Conscious Awards. So he's a dear friend, and I think we need to have him on the podcast, share some beautiful insights. And yeah, he's wonderful. Thank you, Steve, for that for sure. By the way, guys, make sure you go and vote for the thought leaders. You're saying Doc B. Doc B and I were both nominated as Spiritual Leader of the Year at the Conscious Awards. And I was so grateful also, again, I keep saying this every week, nominated with I just absolutely love Reverend Michael Beckwith, and he's also nominated with a couple of other amazing people. And so anyway, go on and vote for all of us, right? Make sure that you get your vote in for those awards. It is such a beautiful time, and make sure you get there. Again, nature, solitude, and spiritual guidance. Those things can help you. And that spiritual guidance can be with you and yours, you connected with source. I'm a firm believer that we do not always have to go outside of ourselves to get that spiritual guidance. Take a breath in, my friends. Big exhale out. Sometimes we just need to connect back to that inner knowing in ourselves and do that internal work to know that we have everything it takes to take that next step and jump out of that stagnant energy. What I'm seeing is this is a shift that is going to be here for a moment. I want you to really value that energy within you, right? I said it earlier. For me, that word for the year was power. And stepping into that power has caused me to sometimes be a little like almost even more firm than I used to be. And so making sure that I'm like, ooh, there is a change, guys. We're all evolving. But when we step into our power, when we step into whatever it is it's time for us to step into, we all have different things. Allowing that to recalibrate within our system. And sometimes having just the awareness of that energy when we're feeling that procrastination or that stagnant energy, sometimes it just needs to garner some of our attention and our slow viewing and slow awareness of it. Yes, thank you, Ethan, for answering that for me. Brian, I did do that painting behind me. That's actually, I had a radio show for years on, what was that network? Can't remember what the network was, but with my old business partner, and those paintings, each one of them is actually an old like call-in from the radio show. So even today, in every private session that I do, every person gets an energetic painting. So I paint the energy that comes through from your guides and angels, from your loved ones on the other side, and that the paintings always have different meanings. So red might mean one thing for one person, whereas, it might be love and passion, whereas for the other, it might show that anger needs to be moved through in order to go to that next phase, that next energetic moment for you. But each client receives a painting. And so each one of those were unclaimed radio show paintings, and they're all there. So thank you for that question, Brian. I appreciate it. Miller Time says being blunt can come across as being rude. Yes. And so I was raised, I wonder if there's anybody else going out there kind of watching that you're going through this metamorphosis. You might be grieving the old you while still honoring the transition of the you now and the you today and the future you that's coming. But watching maybe these old energies that are no longer serving you, watching them leave you fully, or even you advance beyond them, right? I mean, I'm watching that. I've been doing this work again for 20 years, and we're never done doing the work. Never done doing the work. And so I'm watching that balance of energy of that. I was definitely done being the pleasing energy that I grew up with, that many of us women grow up with, trying to be, it's rude to be assertive and all of these things. And so noticing that stepping into that power in a new way is It's interesting. And so I'm curious, how are you changing? How are you owning this new energy? And maybe this energy that we've been calling stagnant is on purpose for us to go slow and witness the now in a new way, to really take account and see maybe where it is we're wanting to move to or get to. And maybe this moment right here, right now, whatever it is you're feeling, is on purpose, because I'm telling you it is. So understanding that we are all, yes, directly connected to source. We have that divine divinity, that spirit, Doc B, Billy would say, that God power within. That is who we are. That is what we're connected to. And we have that energy to call upon. So when we're feeling low and in that space, after a few days, it's time to pull up your bootstraps and go into action and figure it out again. And typically that's calling on resources. That's help with a friend, a family member, your partner, a spiritual advisor, a community. But make sure you're taking that action, and you're taking that action for you. My friends, thank you so much for being here tonight. I hope that this has helped you. I hope that it's helped inspire you to understand, first of all, you're not alone. Understand that we're all moving through this energy, and that you doing it your way is perfectly perfect for you. Just make sure you're going in that direction that you know is going to be suiting you. If it's not, what do you need to do today to take that little step forward that's going to make that massive leap of change for you? Guys, thank you for being here. Do me a favor, go hit me up on Instagram, Cortney Kane Sides Medium, over on TikTok, over there. And also, don't misspell it. It's Cortney, Cortney, Kanesides. And find me again over on Cosmically Connected. I'll put a little link here for you here on YouTube. So you can click on that right in the comment, Cosmically Connected with Cortney Kane Sides. It'll take you right over to my own personal YouTube page. I'd love to see you guys there. And again, if you have questions about joining that VIP inner circle, we're always there. It's a beautiful group, and we meet twice a month for an hour and a half, and we get to see each other. We get to have a beautiful exchange. You get to talk to me and everybody else in that group. And if you don't have a community, I invite you to join us there. All right. I love you guys, and I will see you next week.